Soldiers think they've seen the fighter, but he disappears into the undergrowth.
After yesterday's attack, this patrol has now been set up less than 200 metres outside of the base, because that's how close the Taliban are now getting. But that's a success on how it was just a few months ago, when they couldn't even stick their heads outside of the gate without drawing gunfire.
But our gains they're not reversible. You know, this is going to be another summer or two that's going to determine what our true success is here.
Success to him means holding on to these gains. To the local people, it's about backing the winning side, and they're not sure yet who that will be. Sue Turton, Al Jazeera, Kandahar.
Now in France, the trial of the former President Jacques Chirac has got underway in Paris. He's facing corruption charges from when he was the mayor of Paris, involving allegations of fake jobs for his supporters. Tim Friend has more.
In typical style, Jacques Chirac always insisted that he wanted to be treated like any other person facing trial. But that's unlikely to happen. The 78-year-old, one of France's longest-serving presidents, seems to grow in popularity with the French public, who view him with a particular fondness, the envy of other politicians. This is despite the fact that he's the first former head of state to face criminal charges since the Fifth Republic was founded half a century ago.
He is a man who sort of does the right thing at critical times. We've seen it politically at other times, like saying that France should not be involved in Iraq. We've seen it at times where he stood up for the rights of Parliament. And we saw it, of course, that he was very unequivocally against the Front National. And, that he stands as a statesman for that, I think, whatever his other faults.
He's now in fragile health. His wife, Bernadette, dismissed reports that he's suffering from Alzheimer's disease, but he may find a court appearance arduous. The abuse of public funds charges spring from his time as mayor of Paris and salaries paid to so-called phantom employees at the town hall. The money was used as part of Chirac's drive for further power in the 1990s, at the end of his 18-year term as mayor.
Well, he finished his term as mayor of Paris in 1995, and after that he won 2 presidential elections in 1995 and in 2002. Now, the French public was very much aware of these very serious allegations against him of corruption. But it's a cultural problem in France. I think the French press is not strong enough. It didn't do a good job of holding him accountable.
A civil action is being settled by repayment of funds. Mr. Chirac lost his legal immunity against criminal charges after he retired. If found guilty, he could face a heavy fine and up to 10 years in prison. But in practice, he would be more likely to receive a small suspended sentence. Tim Friend, Al Jazeera, Paris.
And another politician beleaguered by court cases. The Italian Prime Minister Silvio Berlusconi has undergone 4 hours of surgery. The operation was to repair damage to his jaw from when a man threw a statue at him in 2009. He suffered a broken nose and 2 broken teeth in the incident. The treatment involved a bone transplant and an implant. And there's been a violent eruption at the Kilauea volcano in Hawaii. Lava spewed up to 20 meters in the air. There are also 150 small earthquakes in the area. The volcano has been erupting since 1983. It's one of the most active in the world. At 1:30, let's give you the stories making the headlines on Al Jazeera. Pro-government forces have been bombarding rebel groups in the Libyan oil town of Ras Lanuf. It's part of the fight back by Libya's leader. This was a scene a short time ago as rebel fighters came under attack from the air. Earlier, Gaddafi forces retook the nearby town Bin Jawad. Meanwhile, leaders of the Libyan uprising have made it clear they'll only begin talks about the future of the country if Muammar Gaddafi quits. A former prime minister has appeared on state television urging opposition forces to negotiate. Colonel Gaddafi himself is still sounding defiant. He appeared on a French news channel claiming no more than 100 rebels had been killed. He also warned Europe that Libya is preventing millions of migrants from landing on its shores. In the last few minutes, Tunisia's Prime Minister has named a new government following a string of resignations. Prime Minister Beji Caid Essebsi kept the heads of the key defence, interior, justice and foreign affairs ministries in their posts, and he named new figures to 6 posts vacated last week amid questions about Tunisia's direction. Weeks of protests drove out longtime President Zine El Abidine Ben Ali in January. Around 200 Shia protesters have been rallying outside the US Embassy in Bahrain, calling for Washington to stop backing the monarchy. Shia Muslims have been pushing for more rights in protests directed at the Sunni royal family. They've been camped out at Manama's Pearl roundabout since last month. Their stand, though, has only won them minor concessions. Zainab Al-Khawaja is one of the protest organisers in Manama.
We want America not to get involved. We can overthrow this regime. We can. The people of Bahrain is strong, just like the people of Egypt. All we want is for America not to support the dictatorship in Bahrain, because people here, they're going to have to sacrifice so much more if the Americans decide to support the regime.
Activists in Saudi Arabia say security forces have detained at least 22 protesters. That's according to Reuters news agency. They were reportedly detained after a protest in the eastern town of Qatif on Friday. This amateur video, apparently of the demonstration, was posted on a social media website. The minority Shia Muslims have been calling for more rights in the majority Sunni country. On Saturday, the Interior Minister banned all demonstrations. And those are the main stories. Coming up next on Al Jazeera, songs from a lost homeland.
البطل لأنه حياة، لأنه هواؤها وغيمها، لأنه ترابها وقمحها ويفرش المدى. لا يموت.
الفلسطينيين العايشين بالقدس عايشين تحت احتلال، بالتالي المسألة الثقافية والهوية الثقافية مسألة مسألة مواجهة من نوع آخر. كمان اللي في الخط الأخضر هم بيواجهوا هويتهم الثقافية العربية، لكن هون عم نواجه حالة من الاحتلال اليوم.